heard the saying, life's a journey, enjoy the ride. But for our next guest, that ride has taken him across the country on hundreds of motorcycles as an outlaw biker. And now he's sharing his experiences both on air and in books. So joining me right now is Edward Winterhalder. Welcome into Studio 10.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, I was going to ask if you rode your bike here, but I don't think so.
No such luck this morning.
Not this morning, but we're excited to have you on, and we have your bike here. But you know, we're having you on as part of our Ask the Author segment, but you have so much of a story to share, so we're kind of breaking it down. But we want to get to know you and kind of your love for motorcycles. When did that start? Because obviously that has to have some sort of passion, you know, to take you along this journey, especially with the motorcycle club. So do you remember getting that first bike, taking that first ride?
My very first experience, I was at a carnival, and I was 14 or 15 years old. I wasn't driving yet, and hanging out at the carnival, watching girls, just having a good time with a bunch of my buddies. And in came a pack of Hell's Angels from New York City, and they parked their bikes right next to where we were. They got off and they started going through the carnival, and I saw those motorcycles and all of that, and I thought, wow, that was really, really cool, and I think I'd like to do that. So when I was 17, I went off to the Army for a while. When I came back a couple years later, I saved up my money, and at the age of 19, I got my first Harley Davidson, and from then on, I really haven't been without one for the last 51 years. Wow,
that says a lot. And so you can talk us through some of those rides, those that you've appreciated, because I'm sure you've ridden for hundreds of miles at a time, sleeping in, you know, just bringing the essentials on your back.
A lot back in those days.
Yes.
You know, there was no for us, we couldn't afford motels, we couldn't afford hotels. We ate wherever we could at a friend's house. If there was somebody along the way that you knew, then we would stop and hang out with them for a day or two. But yeah, you would have a sleeping bag, some tools on your bike, and that's the way you went across the country, and one change of clothes.
Oh my goodness, wow, what a lifestyle. When did you start and join a few of the motorcycle clubs?
I got involved in my first motorcycle club in Oklahoma in 1975. Hung out with them for about a year, and then left for my job. I was a heavy equipment mechanic. I went to Virginia for a while, went back to Connecticut for a little while, and then permanently moved back to Oklahoma in '78 and went back into the club again. And that's when things got serious for me in 1978. Yeah,
so let's kind of dive into that, because, you know, obviously you have this draw to riding and motorcycles, but when did that not become as enjoyable, or when things got really serious when it comes to clubs and outlaw biking?
Clubbing back in those days was a whole lot different than what it is now, and a whole lot different than when I left the lifestyle in 2003. In the beginning, it was 99% fun and 1% trouble. And by the time I left the club in 2003, it was 99% trouble and drama and all of that comes with it, and 1% fun.
Talk a little bit about your mission now to share those stories through books and through TV. You know, where does that motivation come from?
I don't know how I wound up here. I'm still an outlaw biker in my heart and my soul, but it has become my primary responsibility to preserve the lifestyle accurately for generations to come. Now, how I got here, I don't know, but it is what it is, and I've accepted it. I'm fortunate. For a large portion of my career as an outlaw biker, I did not get high and I did not drink. And then I ran a construction company, and I was really good about doing construction company business wherever I went on my motorcycle, keeping the receipts. So it made it easy to chronicle the lifestyle accurately, be able to go back and look at a receipt and realize I was at a gas station in Albuquerque, New Mexico at a certain point in time with a pack of 100 Banditos, for example. So that allowed me to do that. And when I got out of the club in 2003, I started writing my first book, and all I really wanted to do was remember everything while I still could. That was it.
Well, on that note of writing books, what's really cool is that is just one of the many ways that you've been telling these stories, and you've been able to even work with college students. So we're going to have more of that when we come back. We are still here with Edward Winterhalder, who is on a mission to really redefine brotherhood and biker culture. Now, you have brought a couple of books on our table, but you have written 14 books that range from autobiographies to other books that share the stories of other motorcycle members that you've ridden with. But let's talk a little bit about writing the first book. You know, you mentioned that you just wanted to start writing because you didn't want to forget. All those memories in 2003 were on the top of your mind. What did you learn about yourself when writing your book?
At first, it was a form of therapy. So when I had spare time, I was running a construction management company, and in my spare time, I would write down whatever came to mind. And I really enjoyed reading at the time. So I built a really expensive, heavy, hardcover book, and I wanted the photos to be on the exact page, which is really stupid in hindsight because you have to use very high quality paper to do that, and it ends up being very heavy, which you pay for in shipping. But that book, I printed up 300 copies and thought, you know, I'll sell 100, I'll give away 100, I'll save 100 for the grandkids. And I expected that was going to be the end, and I didn't even think about a career at that point in time. Had a book signing. Shortly thereafter, Barnes & Noble called me, the local stores in Oklahoma. And they said, everyone's coming in asking for this book. Will you bring us some books? So I brought them down a couple of hundred. They distributed them amongst the Barnes & Noble stores in Oklahoma City and Tulsa and sold them out immediately. And then I I had some more printed, and I sent them 500. They distributed them a little wider of a geographical area. And then Barnes & Noble in New York City called. And they had a division called Small Press, and they made a deal with me where they would pay me every month because I couldn't afford it, and started shipping them 1,000 books at a time. And within about 3 or 4 months, I was in every Barnes & Noble store in the country, as well as every Barnes & Noble college store in the country. And did really well.
Obviously, there is an audience that wants to know more and hear more about the lifestyle, about motorcycle, these clubs, and all of that. And obviously, you're able to share those stories. But recently, you've been able to kind of have this collaboration with college students over at Grand Valley State University. I'm a proud alum. But yeah, so talk a little bit about where that collaboration came from and how, you know, what you were able to learn from all of this.
In 2014, I started dealing with Lisa Knapp at Grand Valley State University. She was the head of the intern program. And I was drawing interns for television and film, and thought, I've got this book in the back of my mind, Real Bikers of North America. I want to interview real outlaw bikers that were involved with a serious outlaw biker motorcycle club and get to capture their stories. While they're young enough to remember what happened. Do a mini biography. Each chapter is about a different man and his experiences, and try to capture an accurate screenshot of the lifestyle through all of their stories. Through Lisa, she introduced me to some interns, creative writing interns, got them involved, would have them do the initial interviews with the subjects, and then start writing the chapter, the mini biography of that person. And the interns would write together and then send it to me, and then I would edit it, send it back to them, and it would keep going around and around and around until no one wanted to change anything anymore.
What was it like when they saw their names in the book?
Well, you got to realize this was a 10-year collaboration.
Yeah.
So it started in 2014. Everybody worked on it when they had some time.
Yeah.
And then I went to Dubai for a while to produce a television series over there. So I lost a few years. I came back in 22 and decided it was time to finish the book up, and got hooked up with Sarah Bagley, Nathan Cozart, Jarrett Weber was already on board. And we set out to finish everything that we had started, and did that over the next couple of years. And this spring we published the book.
Yeah.
And when the copies came back and they got to see their names at the top of each chapter that they had been involved with, you know, it was a very special moment for them.
Wow. Well, so if people want to continue to follow your journey, where's the best way that they can do that?
My books are available in print. They're available in ebook form and also audiobook form, and they're basically on every platform in the world. Yeah. I'm very, very easy to find. Google me and you'll figure that out.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you coming in and sharing your story, and of course sharing it with our viewers as well. So thank you.
Well, it's been a privilege to be here.